all the changes in Johnny Depp's career were based on accusations, and he got fired before we knew anything for sure, before court. I had to double check everything because I made a video last night. I was like, I want to be sure. Did they fire him before he went to court, before and he was fired before. Ezra Miller has been arrested multiple times. Now, a lot of those haven't fallen through into anything because there were things that happened behind closed doors, all that. But you can watch the video of him being arrested. You can hear him being talked about. It's all on video. He did not get removed from Flash, which I see why now, because if you look at the movie, he plays two characters. So they were going to have to redo two characters for the whole movie. Yes. And they said, we don't have $400 million laid around, I guess, which they don't, which is kind of funny. He stays, but the question will be, does he stay at the end of the movie? I think that Warner Brothers is smart enough to say no and switch that to someone else at the end of the month. I mean, that's just my guess. I don't really know. I haven't heard anything. I would think they would switch. But this brings us to Jonathan Majors. Now, everything is allegations at this point. And that's I have to say that just to be clear. Regardless of what happens, the court will decide the truth of it. This affects Marvel if they choose to remove him or replace him. He is supposed to be the building block of everything coming up.
And you can't Red Skull Jonathan Majors like they did in Infinity War.
No, you can't.
You can't bring in an impressionist. It's his face. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not even like Josh Brolin playing Thanos. This is a big
Jonathan
deal
Majors. If you replace him, you will know it's not Jonathan Majors.
Yep.
And you're 2 projects in. You got Loki.
You are. That's supposed to come out this summer. So they just put it on hold. So it just got the hold button. It got moved and put on hold, which makes me think that they see some things kind of going crazy because all projects are on hold right now. Everything but Guardians is on a hold.
His biggest issue right now.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It's nuts right now.
It was quiet, but
that's officially from Disney.
Everything's on hold. The Marvels might not come out in November. Like,
oh
it
my
may
God.
get moved too. And it's been moved like 5 times.
Because they don't know what to do with the Marvels. They don't know what's going on with the Blade reshoots. They don't want to bring out Agatha or Ironheart because like they don't know after the problems they had with Miss Marvel. And like that kind of it's I get
Apparently
it.
That drama was serious. She may be done. Brie Larson may be walking away.
But the biggest issue with Jonathan Majors is not this allegation. It's the upcoming allegations because now he has multiple people coming out. I hate when that happens.
It's a pile on right now.
I am all for a believe all victims type of approach. It's one of those ways that we can put ourselves.
But you're also innocent until proven guilty, though.
Exactly, and so you get both sides. We saw Johnny Depp. Like everybody kind of jumped on that.
Can Disney wait to decide?
I used to have a mentality of like, okay, there's an allegation, and now all these other allegations come out, and I'd be like, if this was true, once he was announced as Kang and had this huge spotlight on him, why did you wait? Why didn't you just make your allegation as soon as he got this huge spotlight? And that was my thinking for like a long time. But the thing that makes me not think that way anymore is Cosby. Is Bill Cosby. I mean, you're talking about America's dad. You know,
he was in the spotlight for 50 years, maybe before.
I mean,
40, 50 years.
Parts of Bill Cosby himself, that one stand-up routine, are so ingrained. They're ingrained in my psyche. I grew up watching it, listening to it, watching the show. I mean, I can't eat chocolate cake without hearing him singing. You know, the truth of it will be known, and I do believe that they will get to the truth of this. I mean, these allegations supposedly took place in a cab. Most of the cabs have cameras in them. There could be video.
It's going to come out.
There's supposedly a video.
But then you also got to remember, in those kinds of cases, you're required to make an arrest. There's not a situation where it's like, oh, we're gonna let you, like, you have to. They just have to get it on record. That's the only way they can. Unfortunately, that was always going to be the case. But then they say that she went to the hospital as well for like a mental, and so you don't know, and you always got to leave it up to chance in terms of like, all right, let's just see what happens. The problem is if Disney drops him, then what? Because he was supposed to be in multiple movies.
Right. So let's take it from let's say they drop him and
with his little name, the Kang Dynasty. What
do? You can't release Loki season 2 if you drop him.
But you retool everything. It's time for Doctor Doom. If a video drops of him in the back of the cab choking that woman.
If there was evidence.
Right. If there is evidence and he's convicted.
And we see
and we see it. then you can't go forward with it. Now maybe a video drops of the whole thing in a cab and they yell and scream at each other, but he never touches her, and then you try to like piece this Kang thing. But like I said, I believe the truth will come out on this. It will not. It will be very clear that he didn't do it at all, or he did do it. I think within the space of a few weeks or maybe a month or two, we will be out of this murky area. But if you come out of the murk and he definitely did these things, you just got to drop Kang altogether. You can't recast it now, and it's time for Doctor Doom.
I like the idea.
I think you can't recast him either. I thought about it for a while. And I thought John Boyega or some,
You know why you can't recast him? Because they had a literal scene at the end of Ant-Man where they had hundreds of him in different, like it's not.
And they didn't have to do that.
You know, another reason why they can't recast them, because they didn't recast T'Challa, and a lot of people asked for that, and that would bring up a lot.
Well, hey, don't forget though, they did recast the Hulk, and they did recast Rhodey. That was in the earlier MCU.
Excuse me.
They had to recast Rhodey. They read Terrence Howard's demands, and they were like, "Oh no!"
He pulled a Dwayne Johnson back then. He thought War Machine was going to be the guy.
Marvel is not doing great right now, like financially across the board. You throw in a few more things like this. At what point is there a hard meeting sit down and say, okay, we have Secret Invasion, we've got Guardians 3, but Guardians 3 could be a big negative for us. We need to just wait. Like, that's it. Everything else is just, this year is over for the, at what point do they just put a big pause? And maybe that's what this pause is. Because I think regardless, Marvel needs to sit down and think long and hard about the future. Because Kang and Ant-Man 3, $450 million on a rumored $346 million budget. Somebody's getting fired.
John Majors kind of gave me the Brie Larson effect in Ant-Man. I was expecting a lot more from him than what we got.
Really excited for him. You were like really hyped for him to be.
He really didn't blow my, he didn't blow my socks off. I don't hate this idea now, but like you're saying, there's so much more that comes with it because literally all their future plans are on the back of Jonathan Majors right now. So it's a really, they're in between a rock and a hard place. Like never before.
I don't hate Dan's idea of Doctor Doom though, because
I don't either.
Kang and Doctor Doom meet in the comics and they have a whole thing. Correct me if I'm wrong. Kang gets killed by Doctor Doom, no?
See,
I think so. Yeah. I mean,
at that point, you let that happen in the films. You got to bring Jonathan back one more time and let him get killed or whatever on screen.
Well, if I was Disney, I wouldn't do what you did to Johnny Depp. I would come out and say, until there is factual, everything's on the table, we're doing nothing. But what I would do is take the opportunity to pause and say, because we don't know, Loki is now January. You don't have to say a date. You could just say paused. Regardless, Guardians is going to be a heavy blow to Marvel because it could be great and it could be a farewell. And then the next day, Chris Pratt signs with DC and Batista signs with DC. And if that happens, then you had this great thing moved. I don't know.
But you know what the problem with that is, though? Johnny Depp is synonymous with pirates. Kang is not synonymous. Jonathan Majors is synonymous with the MCU.
Right.
So they could technically do that. They bit themselves in the foot with Johnny Depp because now they're asking for him to come back, and he's like, no. But that's what sucks about this situation. Because
the same thing with James Gunn. Yeah, the same thing happened at Disney with James Gunn.
His stuff.
Yeah.
And now look at him. He got all the studios lined up at his feet, threw money at him, and he was like, okay, I'll work with Warner Brothers.
I think you should wait, but I've never been a studio with that much money, and I've never had. So, like, here's the other thing: the timeline. Disney has their investor meeting in a few weeks. They're making a decision before then, just because based on what I know about their history, they're not going into that meeting without an answer. Knowing Bob Iger and them, somebody will be accountable. Victoria Alonso basically got fired for going to the red carpet and saying she was an Amazon executive. Like, people are getting fired right now anyway, regardless of all this going on. So let's say they do the Doctor Doom thing. Do they need to do that anyway? After Ant-Man 3, does the plan need to change? Regardless, does it need to change?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. But if we got another variant of Kang in the Loki season 2, hello.
Sorry.
If that's Bob Iger, tell him I'll take cash.
Right, that's Bob Iger saying, hey, listen, I'm about to shut you down. Every time somebody talks about Disney, sometimes someone gets a text or a phone call. You're like, wait a minute.
I know. Hey, seriously? I'm not even joking about this. Anytime I put out a derogatory video on TikTok or YouTube about Brie Larson, there's these random people that come out of the woodwork. Like, commenting on the like even on my YouTube videos that never get any comments. People are still like,
Shut it.
why are you talking crap about Brie Larson, man? I swear, I think Brie Larson has like bots that are like programmed to just come out of the woodwork and jump on your crap if you put anything derogatory about her out there.
I believe it. I mean, she is a YouTuber, you know, her channel.
Kang is important still. Very important. And there's some good storylines there.
The only way I see them doing something crazy like this is if Loki season 2 comes out, we get another variant of Kang that's not very impressive. And even still, even after that, I think it needs to be one more film where we just get a performance by Jonathan Majors or a moment from Kang in some type of way. And we're just not that excited. Like then at that point, then you can have discussions. But now, no, I don't think that plans need to change.
Especially with no Fantastic Four setup. Why we can't?
You need to roll out your Fantastic Four and your X-Men while you at least still have Tom Holland, Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange. You're running out of people for the FF and the X-Men to interact with. And pretty soon the MCU is going to be standalone hero movies because like the shared universe thing, you're losing characters at an alarming rate. You know, your Thor's gone, your Iron Man's gone, your Captain America's gone. It's while you still have some of it established, if you want to get that interaction, you need to get it now. Otherwise, you just need to do the clean restart. You need to reboot.
I've never thought that Marvel would ever even consider it, but I bet you there is someone there that says we have to at least talk about it. And not even like replace Captain America, but like you said, go to X-Men, go to Fantastic Four, go do those things, go Blade, figure that out. Go do those things that would work for a while where you can take like a break, but it's not really a break. You can use Doctor Strange, you can use Spider-Man. So this situation, I assume it will go quick just based on, I was trying to figure out the timeline of Johnny Depp and people turned on him quick money-wise. Advertisers will drop regardless. They have to because they can't take a chance on anything because I mean not morally but like money wise they're not going to take a chance on it.
The movie already didn't do well, so they weren't there to begin with,
right? So maybe Disney can wait. Maybe they do have some time to wait. If they want to wait, you know how they could squash this news? We've talked about this. All they got to do is release one thing, and I have to ask y'all about your feelings. All they got to do is release the trailer for the Marvels and news will shift. And I know that sounds crazy, but I think that that's going to be so polarizing.
For it to be polarizing, there has to be a large contingent who like it, who are on the side who said, oh, I'm so excited. It looks so great.
I think they still have the media contingent where some media will say that people bashing the Marvels are bashing it because it's a women-led film. I think they still got that.
These days, they always have that ace in their pocket. But I don't know, man. I mean, yeah, it'll probably change the topic of conversation, sure, you know, to get the focus off of Jonathan Majors for a few weeks. But, you know, how long is this going to take? We need to find out. I need to find out, Bone Bridger. When is this?
When that video comes out, and I don't agree with this, just for the record, the public will judge him on the video. It does not matter if he goes public, if he's violent in the video, he's done. And I mean, if he's violent at all, if it's video evidence, the public will judge him and Disney will cut him loose so quick because they're the ones.
It'll be the NFL Ray Rice situation. From
It'll be the Ray Rice situation.
Where like people didn't know and he just got the suspension. Then that video came out. That was it. It was gone.
That NFL tried not to kick him out, but the second that video hit, they're done.
The Chris Rock rule does not apply anymore, but I'll shake her. You know, you can't shake.
No,
you can't.
But
right.
There is a contingent that if he yells too loud, they'll be demanding his head.
It's true. Witness and video evidence can either save him or it will condemn him. But it's when it comes out, there's no hiding anymore. So the question is, has Disney seen it already?
They're the first ones. They have to be.
Yeah.
They probably have a private investigator on this, you know, like trying to.
Oh, with a bunch of money. Yeah. You show up with a bag of $1 million, you'll see the video. That guy working at the clerk's desk, I'm like, yeah, you can see evidence. What do you want to see? I got Al Capone stuff back here.
It's going to affect him directly more than I think it's going to affect Disney. I might just be speaking out of turn. I think it will. I mean, he had Creed and he was getting all these other
commercials.
He's on top of the world.
Yeah. He was the next guy. Yeah. And not like John Boyega, who was considered the next guy. Like, no, he was actually the next guy. And then
wants to be the next guy. And wants to be. I hope it's not true for the sake of someone not being hurt. At the end of the day, that's what matters. The second the video comes out, public will decide his fate. The video kind of saved Johnny Depp in the public's eye. There was all these allegations, and then this audio recording came out, and you listen to that, you're like, wait a minute.
Was damning.
I was like, Amber, I'm hearing her. I'm listening now. It saved his career in a lot of ways, but more than that, just him as a person. So I hope it doesn't get to that point where it's 4 years of like, we don't know, because that's what it was for Johnny Depp. It took like 4 years to get to a trial.
But I do hate the aspect of like, people who truly, and I mean really hate the MCU are just jumping on this now, as I say. Yeah. And it's like, all right.
So it's that balance of like, I don't like Marvel right now because I don't like Marvel right now, but I don't like this situation. I don't want Marvel to have to change because of something happening to someone in real life that's bad.
I'm always rooting for Marvel, even if, I didn't get everything that I wanted in phase 4. It was a very underwhelming phase, but at the end of the day, I'm still excited to see what happens moving forward. They have a lot of exciting projects coming out soon, like the Deadpool 3, Secret Wars, and Kang Dynasty.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's about that. Like, I want Marvel to change. I want them to change for other reasons. This is a different kind of situation where it's like, I don't want to bring the two together. Like, I think Marvel's a disaster, but it's not a disaster because of this. This is a disaster on its own, like its own problem. Now, the Kang part is a problem regardless, in my opinion. They need to up his character, like, regardless. Like, Ant-Man was just kind of like, was that it? Like, this is our bad guy?
Yeah,
this is
that was rough.
It's like sports fandom is the same with our fandom, is that you think you know what you want. The saying in sports is if you listen to the fans, you'll be sitting with them. You'll be sitting in the bleachers with them. And that's what the executives are doing now. They're listening to us. They're giving us what we said we wanted. We don't really want it. The appeal of a villain is the slow roll. It's Thanos for 2 seconds at the end of the movie.
Yes.
It's talk of his name. It's a whole movie where like he shows up and talks to the bad guy in Guardians, but he's not, and this guy is uber powerful, and his power was just a fraction of Thanos's power. You don't see him. It's hidden. The less you know and the less you see, the better it is. And you clamor and give me more, give me more, give me more. But the reason you want more is because you're filling it all in, and you're doing a better job in your imagination for you specifically than they ever get. And they, with Kang, they just gave him, like, here he is in a TV show, and he's going to sit at a desk and talk to Loki for an hour. And that's how we're going to roll him out. There ain't going to be no fights. No, he's going to sit at a desk, and he's going to talk to this other guy for like 40 minutes. And then he's going to get beat up by Ant-Man because you want to see him, and you want to see him in his full-fledged power. And it's
not a great plan.
Yeah, if you got to slow roll it. The less is more. It's like Boba Fett. The thing that was cool about Boba Fett is you didn't know anything. The more you know, there was nothing you could do. What they did do wasn't great, but doing anything is a mistake. The mystique is the cool thing. It's a cool helmet. He doesn't say much. Leave it there.
He's an old bald man that likes to take baths in the Bacta tank.
It's just like, people on The Mandalorian are like, oh, he needs to stop being in the Watch with the cult, take his helmet off more, develop as a character. You know what? If he does that, you won't like it anymore because he's still got the coolness that Boba Fett lost because he's walking around with the helmet all the time and you don't know much about him. When I grew up reading comic books, everybody loved Wolverine because nobody knew his origin and neither did he. And that was part of his whole appeal. When they cleared it up, he lost that part of his appeal. Like, Wolverine's still cool, but he was cooler when he had that mystique.
Yeah,
I agree.
Good point.
Yeah. It's a strong argument to why James Gunn deserves a chance to try his thing just to see what happens, which I'm very critical of his thing, and I think Netflix should buy them and fire everybody, but that's different. That's not nothing related to that. I think the forefront of this is going to now switch to not just Jonathan Majors, but Ezra Miller and Amber Heard, because we have an Ezra Miller movie coming out this summer, and we have a Aquaman 2 coming out this December with them. How much do y'all think the heat turns up on those situations based on the Jonathan Majors situation? What do you guys think? Is it going to raise the stakes at all?
No.
And, Ezra Miller has claimed status in the highest of most exalted protected classes. In that class, his actions cannot be questioned. He'd have to commit murder in the street on tape.
Literally have to.
For all we know, it could be a brilliant maneuver that he just claimed his status in this class to protect his behavior. You know what I'm saying? Because he wasn't really open about all this, I'm not a he and all that until after he started getting in trouble.
Right.
But
I don't know. Yeah, I honestly don't know. I know far less about it other than just the video. Honestly, Amber Heard is the one that baffles me. Aquaman 2 baffles me. Everything about that project baffles me.
They will ignore Amber Heard, and the movie will cut her time down. And we've already gotten reports that
It could be like 15
they're
minutes.
going
or
to
something.
ignore Amber Heard. Obviously, we couldn't ignore Ezra because Ezra is playing two parts.
Character.
They will Hogwarts Legacy when it comes to the review of The Flash. They will basically say, oh, well, they may have had these problems. Let's review the movie as the movie. The same way a lot of sites and critics did that for Hogwarts Legacy. There were even some parts where they had like this little paragraph talking about J.K. Rowling, and then like, but by the way, the game is good. And then you did have some reviews that were like, you had some reviews that were like went off the rails. But for the most part, I think that's about as far as they'll go with Ezra.
I think it puts a spotlight on Warner Brothers as an executive team to say, okay, how that plays out and how they handle it, and how the Ezra thing plays out and how the Flash goes. Someone has got to be asking, why are we still set on this Aquaman 2 December, this happening? How does this help anything with DC?
Well, they've already spent the money on it, which is astra-freaking-nomical, you know?
And that's what I wonder, like, all right, so, and you, Jonathan, you and me talked about this last time. I'm really baffled by I definitely think you don't release it on streaming. You had a great point about that. It's a 0-win streaming because it's nothing. If you release it and you fail at the box office, you just lose. Whereas if you take the tax break, you do win. Like, it's significant.
We already had Aquaman come out versus like Batgirl where we didn't have it. It was.
Are we forgetting that Aquaman 1 was a $1 billion film?
Yeah.
Aquaman 2
$1 billion film.
It's going to get the same lame duck curse that Shazam 2 just got. Now, Shazam 1 was nowhere near what Aquaman 1 was. I think in proportion, in percentages, I foresee a decline of Aquaman 2 along the same percentage lines that you saw from Shazam to Shazam 2. Because everybody knows going to Aquaman 2, this is not anything. This is the end of this. And it's not like when you've been watching a whole series of things and it's the end that was intended. Like you went and saw Logan and you loved it because it was the end. We didn't get to finish it. We're actually building up the things that are never going to happen now. That's going to hurt Aquaman 2. And the only thing that I think saves The Flash from that same fate is the nostalgia for Keaton. I think Keaton is what sells it. Keaton is what drives it. It's why I'm excited to see it. But I know all the stuff about The Flash, or at least it should be cut clean like a cancer before you reboot the new DC. You know, you got to get rid of all of it. You got to get rid of Gal Gadot. You got to get rid of this Flash. You got to get rid of Batfleck. Absolutely. If you're going to start over, it all has to go like cancer. You got to just cut it out.
I agree totally. Like, I think that's what they should do, but it's already been established they're not doing that. And they've spent a buttload of money, for lack of a better term, on this film. You know, I'm sure they probably spent upwards of $150 million to make this movie. Maybe not quite that much, but at least $100 million.
I think, well, because of the reshoots, the rumors are 400 because they spent 150 the first time.
Even wilder. Yeah. When you factor in, you know, promotion of the film and everything else.
Oh, yeah. I haven't.
Yeah. The marketing budget's going to be
marketing.
wild.
Yeah. You have to release this film. The whole tax write-off thing, I still don't understand how all the ins and outs of that work. Allegedly, they got back.
It's cheating, is what it is.
Yeah, I understand that, but I mean, like, they already spent They spent $100 million on that film, and it was completed, which is insane.
This is a problem for DC, though, that the Jonathan Majors thing happened, because now what's going to happen is everyone's going to say, "Well, you were willing to do that to Jonathan Majors, so what happened with Ezra? What happened with It's just going to bring the attention back."
Well,
it brings the attention, whether something happens or not.
Different folks, different strokes, and the way they've been handling Ezra for the past 2 years, every time something happened, when he got arrested, when he yada, 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 this is what Warner Brothers would do. Shh. Hey, guess what, everybody? Shazam trailer is out now. Shh. You know, the next time he got arrested in Hawaii for slapping some woman, I mean, there was literally a video. There's a video of Ezra Miller, and if this is on my YouTube channel, I love putting this clip out there as much as I can. But there's a video of Ezra Miller grabbing a woman outside of a bar by the throat and slamming her on the ground.
And he did not lose a single job.
No. This has been out for at least 2 years.
We would all lose our jobs if we did.
If he did not come out and say, I'm not a man. I'm not he. If he was any other plain straight white guy running around doing this to women on video,
oh yeah, it's done.
It's done. It's over.
I do worry about Jonathan Majors' treatment with this, and I hope it's fair. And I hope the truth comes out. If he deserves it, he deserves it. I think it's garbage that Ezra Miller's still the Flash after watching those videos. Like, just personal opinion. I also think that, like, if he does truly need help and all those things, yes, like I hope he gets help. But if you're Warner Brothers, the protecting of anyone, the protecting of Amber Heard, I understand cutting everyone off more so, because then you're trying to be like, okay, this is a company. This is not your family. We don't, we're not supposed to be with you no matter what, ride or die. There's no ride or die. This isn't the Fast and the Furious. But then you look at Warner Brothers and you say $50 billion in debt. Do they even know what they're doing on the executive level? Does that not reflect how they handle everything?
Maybe Wally West shows up at the end.
Maybe. I mean, you could do anything at the end, right?
Yeah.
You could do anything.
I mean, at this point, they're throwing good money after bad. It's a dead-end street.
That's a good point.
This version of the universe has been abandoned anyway, but we've spent all this money. We can't spend any more changing the guy. The only reason it's getting more thrust is because they got Keaton back in it. That's it. Like, otherwise, it'd be getting dumped just like Shazam 2, Aquaman 2, Blue Beetle. Here's some stuff we made for this thing that we abandoned.
Or throw a wrench in the entire thing and bring Wallace West in there. Black Flash. If you're gonna do it, let's just throw it all in.
The argument could be made, why not? Like if you're gonna embrace the chaos of what's coming, then make me have some extra reason. Like, make Aquaman 2 a little bonkers. Like, after the Flash, wait, I have to see Aquaman 2? Like, I have to see it or I won't know what's coming? Like, force me into something crazy.
Crazy. Yeah, at that point. Why not?